The contents of the show is for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only and is not intended or viewed as trade recommendations or a substitute for professional financial advice of any kind. Please consult your own financial professional for specific advice that applies in your unique situation.
You're listening to the 12 Days of Investing, where we go over real action steps anyone can take to change their financial lives. If you're looking to learn how to get started with investing without all the hype, you've come to the right place. Stay tuned and join us on happyfinancials.com, your home for plans, strategies, and investment info online.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. My name is Nick Caracappa, president of Silverton Management.
I'm Stephen Cheung, founder of Epik Capital Partners and president of VidaBox LLC.
This is the 7th day of the 12 days of investing. So for this podcast, we are going to be talking about how to identify action steps, and we will get into the 5 whys method in a little bit. But first, Stephen would like to iterate to you a concept about money, is that everything takes time.
Yep, and because everything takes time, the faster and sooner that you take action, the sooner that you can also reap the rewards. I'm sure you probably have noticed as a listener, a common theme in everything we speak about is taking action, action, action. Just as an analogy, money and dollars are like seeds. You can eat your seeds right now, but the fact is, you're not going to be very full. The alternative then is to plant your seeds early on, or ideally now if you haven't started yet, so you can reap what you sow later, but in a good way.
Well, I think that I could easily relate to that. There's a book called The Richest Man in Babylon that speaks a lot to the concept that you just spoke about, which is planting your money into something that will grow later on. And also, too, wasn't it Albert Einstein who said compound interest is the most powerful thing in the universe?
Oh, absolutely. We talked about before we plant and sow these seeds, that's one of the reasons why we have to put up a fence around our farm. And that's why we had went over the 4 cornerstones earlier. What ends up happening is you could be working as much as you can and building everything up, but then if you don't have the proper defenses, all of your efforts could be for naught. Even taking now the next step further, after having all 4 cornerstones set, I've seen a lot of people get stuck and they don't take action. Now, I don't think this is because necessarily that they're lazy, but it's only because it's new territory, or they have so much information, so many different avenues to pursue, and they get stuck in analysis paralysis.
I can attest to the new territory. You know, there's always that person who takes the cannonball into the cold pool, but there are others who dip their toe in, then goes their foot, then their leg, and then they immerse their whole body in the pool. So sometimes it does take time to grow that comfort level.
From here, one great tip that I've always found to be very useful is the 5 whys concept. So in short, what the 5 whys concept is simply asking the question why 5 times, and you usually get to the root of the problem. Just to use myself as an example, when I was 19 years old, my parents finally came over to America. They were working hard, but they still weren't making enough. Nick, let's apply the 5 whys into the situation.
All right, the first why is, why are they living paycheck to paycheck?
At the time, their living expenses were too close to their income. They couldn't get more working hours because they didn't really speak English, and their expenses were basically stripped to the bone already, so there was really no room for improvement there.
The second why is, why can't they stay like this forever?
We had savings back then, but the problem is we were still withdrawing more than the returns were providing. So we all knew that the savings would inevitably run out at some point.
So the third why is, why can't they get more income from their savings that you just said that they had?
Back then, the problem is they weren't really investing it into instruments that would yield a higher return. The options that they were aware of was basically putting it into CDs in a bank or putting a checking account or savings account, and that's all they knew.
And as we know, the yields for a savings account are not that great. On to the fourth why isn't the savings being invested into other higher yielding instruments?
Well, that's because they didn't know how to invest.
I think I see where this is going. We're going to finish up with the fifth why. Why didn't they learn more about other investments?
The answer at the end that we figured out was it's really an education and knowledge problem. And that's the whole reason why we're looking to do this podcast series.
We're looking to educate people on how to better achieve financial prosperity in the coming new year.
Bottom line is you got to take action today. Build up your 4 financial cornerstones. That's really the first step that you need to take in order to be able to solidify your financial future. So as a first action step, did you take any actions yet in building your 4 financial cornerstones?
I do have all those 4 financial cornerstones that we went over in the previous podcast, but also too, my starting point was not yesterday either. I'm hoping that the listeners will also ask that question to themselves and do so in the coming new year. My name is Nick.
I'm Steven.
And thank you for listening. We will talk to you in the new year. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, guys.
This podcast is sponsored by Epik Capital Partners, happyfinancials.com, and Silverton Management. Thanks for listening.